Today I am cleaning the salt cell for my saltwater pool. I was getting an error message on my controller that said to clean my salt cell. Honestly, I don't remember exactly what the message was, but it was pretty obvious that I needed to. I think it was check/clean salt cell. And I've got a pretty traditional paper filter. There's the pre-filter. Pump is over here, just a little guy. And I always run my pump in the slower of the two speeds. I've got an 18,000 gallon above ground swimming pool. And so what I do in order to make sure that this is in good working order is I just loosen this bottom ring, and to loosen it, I am turning it counterclockwise. If I were looking down on this thing, it'd be going lefty-loosey, counterclockwise, and this one is the same, except looking from the bottom up. So I just loosen this one, and I do that because when I initially take this one off, or take it all the way down, I can just take this entire component here, and I can rotate it. You see I've swung it away from the salt cell. And with this bottom one loosened, I can just take this and kind of lean it toward me, and that allows all the water to drain out of the entire cell. And then when I look in the top of this, that's when it becomes very obvious that I do indeed need to clean this, because there's a bunch of, I don't know how you'd want to call it, residue or accumulation or a deposit. You can see this white stuff that's along the top of some of these blades. There's a little bit of residue on the top of the two that are nearest to me. I don't know if it's, I don't know if it's calcium or what it is. Well, let's see, sodium chloride, NaCl. I'm going to leave you to decide what that accumulation is. But regardless, in order to clean it, I'm going to use muriatic acid. And I also have a set of, this is actually, they look like dental tools, but this is a kit for pulling O-rings, or little gaskets out of hoses. I had this from when I had a pressure cleaning company. I also have this enormous wrench that I use in order to get this off of here, a big set of channel locks. So the final tool that I have is a wooden shim. So it is fatter on one end and tapers down to a pretty good point on the other. So I use these tools. Not a good idea to use these metal tools inside of the salt cell. So I try to just let the muriatic acid do the work. And if maybe I need to separate the blades a little bit on these cells, I might use the wooden shim and slide it down in between a couple of these cells, and then give it a tiny little bit of a twist, just in order to allow the bubbles, which you'll see in a moment, to help continue cleaning the salt cells. Alright, so now I've got this loosened, I've got it drained. I'm going to tighten this just very gently, finger tight. I'm going to put a little bit of water back into my salt cell by opening this valve that goes back to my pool. Now this is easy for me to do because of having an above ground pool. So the back pressure from the pool is going to feed some water back into my salt cell. So I've only filled it maybe a quarter of the way. It was hard to tell because I'm looking down through perfectly clear swimming pool water. And then I'm going to add some muriatic acid. I'm keeping my face very far away from the salt cell just in case there's any splash. You can see already the bubbles that are occurring. And then I'm going to open this valve a little bit and fill it the rest of the way with water so that the cell is totally covered. This is not an exact science, the amount of muriatic acid that I'm putting in. In fact, the folks who work at the pool store would probably say I'm putting in too much. This is a a process that requires some patience. You don't want to try to rush this. You want to let the muriatic acid do its thing. Don't just fill the whole thing up with muriatic acid or you're going to totally fry your salt cell. So keep it fairly dilute, let the bubbles sort of do their thing, let the acid do its thing. Bubbles say that it's the chemical reaction is occurring. And then once the bubbles have stopped, I take my tools away from this entire assembly, and then I open this valve slowly and just let all the water push out of the top of here and flow down onto the ground. I'm on a cement pad and then it's just sand around here, so it's okay if that somewhat acidic water just flows out and onto the ground. Depending on your situation, you might want to actually close this, reseal it, open both of your valves to and from the swimming pool, and then turn on your pump and just push that acid water back into the pool. Dilute it into 18,000 gallons of water, that's not going to be a problem. This acid's meant to go in the swimming pool anyway. And then look and see if there's still any kind of residue on top of the cells that are in there, and if there is, then either use the wooden tool so that you're not damaging the salt cells, so just this wooden shim to maybe sort of scratch or scrape away at any kind of residue that's left in there, and then redo this process and keep doing it until there are no more bubbles. I'm gonna let this sit for probably 15 minutes. I go for a swim, I take some sun, whatever, and then I come back and check on it. So it's a little bit of a time-consuming process, but I don't have to do this very often. I hope that helps, and good luck with your pool.